So we'll begin by just saying that we had an honor today to have the French or the Swiss ambassador on the floor with us. We also met with him earlier this morning. He's really enjoying his trip to Utah. It reminds him of the Swiss Alps and the skiing that he does there, where he grew up near a ski resort. So he's very impressed with the state of Utah, and it was an honor for us to have him with us today. We're open for questions if there are any.
Senator Stevenson, I apologize, but I kind of got in a little bit late on your debate on SB 51 on UTA and transit-oriented development. Can you give us in a nutshell what that would do? And is UTA getting more involved in developments?
UTA 5 years ago, the only reason I remember that is it was the first bill I ever ran as a legislator. But they put together 5 what they called transit-oriented developments up and down the tracks. At that time, it would have been between the point of the mountain and the line on the north end, which would be in, I think, Slaterville. And in those 5 lines, or those 5 developments, they are working on those now, and they would like to increase that to 10. When they purchased the property off the Union Pacific Railroad to do the front runner line, they ended up with some large parcels of property. There's one fairly close to where I live in Clearfield. It's about 80 acres. And so you really have the opportunity to go in and do a really nice planned development there. Part of the issue is if they sell the property, then the money goes to Washington, D.C. because it was purchased with federal funds. Now, that's one side of the issue. The other side is that the federal government encourages them to do transit-oriented developments that put more people at transit lines and less pollution. So that's the issue that we're working on, and they've asked for 5 additional projects. The 5 that they had, they were in some stage of development at the present time, and they have additional. I can't tell you exactly where they are, that I do know there is one in Ogden and one in Provo.
So just 5 more? It's not over.
That's 5 more. No, they could do about 18. I think they have the real estate to do 18 on not only on the front runner, but on the tracks lines. But they're asking for 5 at this time, and then we've asked that they come back to the legislature for additional approval.
Maybe I missed it.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
On Medicaid, have you settled on a caucus position yet on Medicaid?
We have not settled on a caucus position. In fact, we're going to be talking about Medicaid again today, taking an in-depth look at the governor's plan and incorporating that into all of the other discussions that we have had. So we think we're getting closer, but that plan came to us a little bit late in the process after we have looked at a lot of other plans, including getting down to the House plan, what's called the House plan, and what's called the Senate plan, or the 100% expansion. So we're not there yet, but we're continuing to discuss those issues, and in fact we'll be discussing those issues in caucus again today.
What else is on your caucus agenda today?
That's going to take most of our agenda. We're lining up that for being the big caucus item. We do have an early intervention bill by Senator Osmond that we're going to be addressing as well. He's going to bring to caucus. And so those are the 2 major items. I suspect that it'll take a big part of the caucus to discuss the Medicaid issue.
The Senate President was scheduled to meet with the governor and the speaker later today. Is that still on his schedule? Is someone going in his place?
It is still on his schedule. We're again trying to continue through that process while we also work through. Now we're in the very depths of the budget discussions, looking at add-ons and trying to put the budget together. So there's a lot going on. Time is really difficult to schedule right now, but we're trying to get through all of that. Yes, but that is scheduled. Yes, Senator Stevenson.
I don't want to take words out of Senator Hilliard's mouth, but Not only add-ons, but takeaways.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Senator Weiler, your bill today on medical waste or infectious waste burning, it doesn't really address Stericycle now. It addresses kind of future Stericycles. What do you think needs to be done? And you raised some of your concerns on the floor, but what do you think needs to be done about the current present issue and making sure that they do or don't move, I guess?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think that they definitely need to move, and there were some statements made on the floor today that they were there first, and maybe the city was at fault for allowing them to grow up around them, the residential, and I don't disagree with that. So my bill, first of all, I want to make sure that, and when I started this bill, we didn't know, they didn't get the option on the Sitla land until the end of January, so I wanted to make sure they didn't move somewhere where we're going to have another problem, and I think the location they've selected is probably the right one. They're 30 miles from civilization, basically. Second of all, I'm not convinced the system isn't working. We've had a notice of violation, we've had a citation, they're appealing it. It's going to take a while. There's a criminal investigation, like I said on the floor, I believe. I have every reason to believe that criminal charges will be filed against Stericycle, and I think they'll be soon. And so I'm not convinced that the system we have is broken. You know, another thing I like to emphasize is every resident that bought a home in that Foxborough subdivision, they had a disclaimer that that they were moving, you know, next to that facility. Now, the wording of this disclaimer could have been a lot stronger, but I think the system is working. So,
Senator Weiler, I had a quick question for you, just clarifying on HB 20. I mean, Senator Madsen had quite a few strong concerns, I guess, one strong concern, and I was just wondering, the bill says that it would only malicious motive, right, would make an officer liable. Is that correct?
yeah, that's the exception where maybe a duty of care. The bill says a lot of things, but the bill also says that you have to adhere to the written policies and procedures that your agency has for a chase, and every agency has those, and that's been in law for a long time. And I really, you know, in my summation, I really think it comes down to if someone's suspected of committing a crime and they choose to start a police chase, do we as a state want to give them the right to go to a jury trial if they're injured as a result of their poor choices? And if the answer is no, we don't want them to be able to go to a jury trial on their injuries, then the bill's appropriate. If you say yes, gee, if they're injured, then by all means, let them sue the state and let the state tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees defending that suit, then vote against the bill. And that's basically the debate the House had, and that's the debate the Senate had. I think the Senate, with Senator Valentine's assistance, made one important distinction, and that is the chase has to be with a marked car with the lights on top. If it's an unmarked vehicle, you know, some people, I think, dark alley, whatever, some car behind them's telling them to pull over. I think that does bring in those reasonable suspicions. So I think it's a better bill that we passed in the Senate than the House passed.
So you're saying it is in code that if they aren't following the standards of their department or whatever, that they are liable. Does that change this at all?
I believe as an attorney and as the floor sponsor of this bill, if during the chase, if they breach their own protocol, that would give rise to a separate cause of action because they breach their own department policies. But assuming that they follow their department policies, House Bill 20 clarifies that if the fleeing suspect is injured, that there's no duty of care owed, assuming that the policies are followed. So.
Okay. So isn't that what Senator Madsen was saying? You know,
Well, he was saying
wanting-
that they didn't have to follow their policies and that they would still be protected. And we're just reading, and he's a lawyer as well, but we're reading the law differently. And it won't surprise anyone in this room that sometimes lawyers don't agree.
Really? All right. Thank you.
Yeah, go
The
ahead.
House passed this morning the hotel convention bill that
It's news to
kind of
me.
has. So it was right at the end. So
Yeah.
they passed it. I just want to know if any of you have thoughts on that bill.
Senator Adams, you're going to talk to. Yeah.
You know, we have a great opportunity. You look at the state of Utah, we're known as #1 for a lot of things. We're the best managed state, our economy's strong. One thing we haven't been known for is our convention facilities. We've had a lot of people make significant improvements to downtown Salt Lake. But again, the Salt Palace stays as pretty much at the same Salt Palace it has for many years. We've had conventions that actually threatened to leave because they need more space. That's nothing new. It's been reported on for years now. So we had to configure a way to make this work. So what we've done is we've simply separated out so the hotel is all built with private money. The convention facilities will be built with public money, and that's what's happened with the Salt Palace. There's nothing but public money in the Salt Palace. And then we've actually put together a mitigation fund because there may be some type of absorption for those hotel rooms. And that mitigation fund, that I think is what has made a lot of those in the hotel associations probably happy with it. But then we've been innovating. And you know, Utah is a great spot to visit, and the tourism is a great source for our economy. But we've also taken some of those public monies and allowed for a bounce back pass. So if you come, and many people that come to conventions here want to come back, and many of them do come back, we give them a voucher. So they can go to Moab, or they can go to Brigham City and Peach Days, or they can come back and visit the state. And again, we'll be promoting that. So it's really a great economic event. You know, if we lost those conventions, it would be an economic challenge to us. And the positive thing is we're hearing there may be 10 or more conventions, large conventions that want to come here. So it's been a compromise, been a long process. We ran the bill last year. It's a better bill this year because of what we've done. And we appreciate those that have been involved in the process, but it has been challenging.
Can I say a word on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I think in Utah, we'd like to think that we're competing with Denver for those big conventions. We're not. The reality is right now, we're competing with Albuquerque. And I think most people in Salt Lake think that we're probably better than Albuquerque. No offense to Albuquerque, but I think this hotel, if it's built, will kind of bring us up to the next level to allow us to compete with some of those better known markets. So.
And if we can get a few more people to Peach Days, that's all we're good.
Not a bad idea.
I assume it passed the House. I didn't even see the vote. Anybody know?
Yeah.
It was 53.
Okay.
Other questions? You got a tweet this morning?
We have a couple of tweets and a text. The first tweet is from @JazzSummit1. They ask, what can one do to help the Utah government? I vote, pay taxes, and go to college at USU. What should I do to help besides this?
Well, it sure helps to get involved. Evidently, sounds like the tweeter is young, just starting, still taking college classes, soon going to be going into the job market, and hopefully able to participate in the benefits of the great job market that we have in the state of Utah. And we want to continue to make sure that's the case. So, you know, we would sure encourage everybody to get involved in government to help us continue to make this be a great state to do business in, and for having economic growth, so that we all have that benefit. We have jobs for our children and our grandchildren. So that would be my best thought: is to get involved and don't settle for anything less than the best.
I'd give them a suggestion. On the 20th of March and the 18th of March, the 20th the Republican, the 18th the Democratic caucuses will be held. And they probably ought to find out where their caucus is, round up people to take with them who are like-minded, and go to their caucus. Get elected a county or state delegate. Then they ought to take a deep breath and see who's filed for whatever office, find a candidate they like, call that candidate and say, I'd like to help you in this upcoming election. That probably should give you plenty of work between now and November when the election occurs, and get you the inside workings of how it goes.
Yeah.
You're looking for a good Aggie for an intern next year, right?
I've got my intern permanently.
One more, Kirsten?
We have a few more. They just keep coming in. This is actually from the same person. They want to know from you, Senator Okerlund, what's the biggest budget cut of the year?
Biggest budget cut. I'm sitting here by the budget guru. I'm going to defer to him and let him think about that.
You know, it's really interesting because the committees have recommended over $800 million in funding. We have about $250 million to meet that. So some people are gonna look at it as a cut because we didn't fund their request of growth. I don't know if we've really cut anything as much as we just have not met the requests. And we won't know until, as I say, the fat lady, that's me, sings a week from Thursday, and that's when we'll know.
So that's right from the guru himself, budget chairman.
Awesome. Two more, you guys ready for 'em? This is from @CoxWebDev. They want to know, why did SB 12 get voted down? What are the senator's main concerns?
That's the smoking. That's the smoking.
Yeah, the smoking. I voted for it because I look at any smoking issue as a health issue. And I think the more we get people not to get smoking, the better off we are. And maybe an outlaw, a ban, I know we had some impact when we raised the tax. So I can speak as someone who supported the bill, and I was in the minority, someone who voted against the bill.
I'll be happy to take it. I think the question is, when do you become an adult? At the age of 19, Utah's already tied for the highest age to purchase tobacco products in the country. And the argument is, well, we're already number one in the highest age, but it's not high enough. My question is, if you raise it to 21, why not 23? Why not 25? No, why not 50? Why not prohibit smoking alcohol altogether? So I'm no proponent of tobacco, but at 18, we're already asking our boys to go in the military and potentially die for the country, and to say that they can't buy a pack of cigarettes. There was also a very valid concern expressed about soldiers who are based, they are transferred to Hill Air Force Base. They may already have, at the age of 20, a tobacco addiction, and now we're going to criminalize the behavior of them purchasing or using tobacco products, also people traveling through our states. And so I'm no fan of tobacco for children, but a lot of the senators, I think, just felt like there was no science or anything to, it's already illegal for a 20-year-old to buy cigarettes for a 17-year-old. My question in committee was, is this going to make it double illegal? So that's why I voted against the bill.
That was my biggest concern, was the criminality. You have people passing through the state who are able to buy cigarettes in Colorado and California and Nevada and all the states that are around there, and have the habit. They come to Utah and they can't buy cigarettes because of the raised age limit, or if they do, we can charge them with a misdemeanor. And so that was my biggest concern, is the criminality of how we handle all of those people that are coming and going at the Air Force Base and other venues, and also the people that are traveling through. Try one more.
There is one more. A couple of people want to know about SB 54. They just want an update on SB 54.
Count my vote.
That's Count My Vote.
I can tell you, I talked to Senator Bramble this afternoon. He thought it was going to, this morning, he thought it was going to be heard this morning. Apparently some technical, that was sent back to the rules. I understand it's set for a time certain tomorrow morning. And so I suspect the debate will be tomorrow, and the House will either approve it, amend it, approve it, or defeat it.
I'll do the last one because it's a short question. Oh.
One more?
Somebody asked if anybody knew what Mark Madsen's Twitter handle was.
Oh,
I
I
do.
can see that.
It's @Vote Madsen.
Oh,
You might want to say that in the mic.
@Vote Madsen.
@Vote Madsen.
MADSEN.
Okay.
I may share a kind of a budget thing that's really kind of interesting to me. As you know, the governor has proposed his Medicaid expansion. And I'm trying to figure out what the fiscal note on that is. And I can't do it, because our fiscal analyst works from a bill, so you have to have the exact language, and then they put it all together. You can't just get talking points or whatever. So I called the governor's office this morning and said, you need to find out if you have a bill. If you get a bill, you better get it introduced quickly so that we have that. And if you're going to substitute with either the House bill or the Senate bill, you should have a substitute bill so that our fiscal analyst can take a look at it. Because that's one of the issues we're going to be talking about today, is what do these options cost and where are we going to get the money to pay for them. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, great point. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up and get the caucus. Thanks for your attendance and questions.
So I said, go talk to John Fellows.